Anthony, you look like you're somewhere special today, don't you?
Well, if you know Brooklyn, then you know this place,
Yeah, baby. Look at
Ellen
that.
Beach Ramona Gardens, and they're shooting a show. My friend Leo is in. My
Right.
friend Leo right there, and
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you all about it when we come back from the intro.
Intro? What intro?
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. Glenn Hausman here for the No Vacancy Live podcast with the incredible on the go Anthony Melchiori.
So I'm on the set of Gravesend. My friend Leo Rossi, who come up on
Yep.
Google, been in every movie,
Yep.
is in the show, and he told me to come down, so I came down, and here I am. And Chaz Palminteri's daughter is in it as well, and she just actually passed me.
Fun.
And they're getting that car ready to shoot. So yeah, I'm on the set. I'm gonna go in the car and do the podcast, but I show you where I am.
That's great. All right. So you're going to go do that right now. And our guest will be here in a couple of minutes. He's running a little bit late. So do you want to go do that
Okay.
now? And
Well, I'll walk to the car and I can still talk. This is I'm
well-
in Bensonhurst. So back in the '80s when I was growing up, this was like prime time, like mafia. I mean, when all the wars were going on with the mafia.
Right.
It all happened here. Matter of fact, I'm walking past the building where Ravana whacked somebody. So yeah, I'm in the
Really?
heart of it. Yeah, I'm in the heart of it right now.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well,
If whacking people is your thing of cool, all right, then it's pretty cool.
I don't know. I mean, the whole mafia culture is really interesting like that. And it's been such a central part of the way we get entertainment for decades right now. I mean, they got that new Sopranos prequel movie out right now.
I heard that's not very good.
I heard so. I heard too. And the box office results have not been so good for that either.
Yeah, you can keep me on. I'm just gonna get my car 2 seconds, but you can keep me on. I'm just gonna take
that's
the
pretty
camera
cool.
off.
All right, so our guest, of course, today is going to be the one and only the Chris Green, CEO of Chesapeake Hospitality, making his triumphant return here. But I guess he's caught up in a conference call. He will be here in a couple of minutes. But while we're waiting for him, you're probably saying to yourself, Glenn, where can I invest my money? I want to do a new hotel. I need a brand I can get behind. Well, that's why y'all got to come and reach out to the good folks over at Radisson Hotels Americas. Our good friend Phil Hugh, Chief Development Officer, he's got some deals for you. They're a great company. They've got great leadership, and they are moving in an incredible direction. I really encourage everyone to take a look at them when thinking about your next hotel product. Most chances are you guys know Phil. You know the CEO, Jim Alderman. You know they're stand-up guys that have results as part of their life. So go check that out. And hey, look at you. You're in your car.
I'm in my car. You're very good. You know exactly where I was. So yeah, it's really cool to be here with my friend Leo. He's from California. He grew up in Philadelphia. Like I said, he helped me produce my TV show, my movies, and he's one of the central actors in this show. And so he came in last night to shoot, and we had a nice dinner at Rocco's of Rock Beach.
Nice.
And now we're on set with every Italian actor you've ever seen in any Italian movie is on that set.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So is it like you're seeing a lot of character actors and going, I know that guy. I know that.
Yeah, I just literally passed somebody and I was like, who is that guy? I know that guy's been in every movie that's ever been made.
Yeah. That's really funny because when it comes to these performers, you don't know if they're like a friend from the neighborhood or somebody you've just seen on TV for 30 years, right?
Right. And Leo's kind of got that face. We walked into the restaurant last night, and like 3 or 4 tables turned around, and he was like, "Hey, they know this you." I said, "No, they know this you." He goes, "No, they know this you." He said, "No, this you." So 2 tables came up when they were leaving and said hello to him, and 2 tables said hello to me. I was like, "All right."
That's pretty cool.
So
I went out to dinner
love.
with my family last week, and nobody noticed us at all. Not
Nobody
even the server. It was a little awkward over there.
You go to a choice convention and everybody knows you.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, how are craft services there?
I don't know. It's right across from here. I'm not eating. Like I said, I don't really like coming to the movie sets when I'm not working on a movie set or a TV show. I don't like the waiting. I don't like the feeling like I'm an intruder. It's weird to me. people come over, they'll say hello, and I don't know what to say. So you know me, I'm not a social guy. So
Right, I
I'm only
know.
here because my friend Kevin really, really, really wanted to go. So I said, all right,
Well,
I'll come down and we'll do it.
that's cool. And I am only here because we get to talk to Chris Green, CEO of Chesapeake Hospitality today. How you doing, brother?
Good, Glenn. Hey, Anthony. How are you?
Mr. Green, it is a pleasure to see you.
It is a pleasure to be seen.
I got to tell you, I saw a great article on your upcoming hotel, the Hotel Marcel, the other day. Brand new property in a historic building up there in New Haven, Connecticut. Must be getting exciting now that you're a couple of months away from opening, and you're probably seeing things really happening at the property level right now.
Yeah, that's a super exciting project. It's one we're really proud to be associated with. It's the first passive house hotel in the United States. So zero net energy usage. Yeah, so we'll be using Tesla solar arrays and canopies over our parking and glycol equipment in the kitchens, and just doing some really fascinating stuff so that we have no net usage at that hotel.
Well,
So what kind of, do you guys get a lot of tax credits and stuff to do that?
Yeah, we had. Obviously, there's a lot of tax credits coming in for that and support, but also the developers are just really proud of doing something, taking this brutalist structure, which I think is really, it's almost like a conflict. It's a brutalist structure built way back in '64 by Marcel Breuer, and it's turning into something super powerful and green as we move forward in hotels. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks like it was like mid 60s, maybe early 70s. Yeah. And so how many rooms is the structure now?
It's going to be in the 170s total. We're still, I think 173 is the exact number. So you can see it's a cantilever building. It's super cool. It's just, when you get up close to it, you're like, how does that thing do that? The top half looks so,
that's right.
So heavy. But it's neat. We got meeting rooms on the 7th floor, the restaurants and everything. Beautiful 2-story lobby, restaurant space. I know, Colleen, it does look like they forgot a few.
Here's a really cool picture of it as well. It reminds me of the same aesthetic as the 64 World's Fair in New York City.
Yeah. And there's a lot of city buildings in Long Island that look like that.
Oh my God, you're right about that.
Yeah. So we're excited about being part. We're excited about being part of the New Haven community. I mean, you got Yale University there. You've got a ton of obviously people that are focused on the environment and conferences coming into New Haven and businesses. We just really think that not only is it going to be a great property, which we know that and well operated, but it's going to have a unique draw, and it's already seen a ton of PR, just natural PR, Glenn, based on what it's trying to do. So.
Yep.
Is it associated with a brand? I'm sorry, did I miss that? Is it associated?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's a Tapestry by Hilton.
Okay.
So.
Oh wow.
All right. I'm just bringing up a picture that really makes me feel old. Like that. No. Hold on. I gotta bring this up. No, it's a absolutely cool picture. Crud. Keep talking, guys. I gotta fix this.
So, Chris, are you starting to see business travel come back a little bit?
I missed the first part of your question, Anthony. What was it?
Are you starting to see business travel come back a little bit?
We actually are seeing a little bit. We had a big drop right after Labor Day, but yeah, there you go.
That's in Queens. That's in Queens. It's a restaurant in Queens.
It was part of the World's Fairgrounds. That, and of course the iconic structures, the top of the world bar and stuff like that. Yeah.
But here's the thing: we are seeing. So just to get without getting too granular on the subject. Segmentation, right? We talk about segmentation a lot, and then we talk about SRPs, which are the specific rate plans for the national corporate accounts. And so what we're seeing is we're seeing onesies, twosies start to pop in on all of the different corporate accounts. So are the corporate accounts back to full blown? No. But what we see is every company is starting to travel generally a little bit, which is good news.
Right.
I don't expect it to be, here we are mid-October. Corporate travel doesn't really happen in November and December. So really at this point, we're going to get through the winter and then look for corporate travel to really come back hard. I hope March 1st.
Ooh. So that's still a long time away from now.
The numbers are down less than 100,000 a day now in the States. And you're really starting to see, as I travel, you're really starting to see almost no, especially in New York City, almost no restrictions. Everybody's walking to restaurants without masks. People are walking around without masks. Some restaurants are asking for vaccine cards, some aren't. But so this whole thing that New York City is like on lockdown and you can't move without a vaccine is ludicrous. It's not true. I think even the inspections, I don't really hear too many people coming in and inspecting restaurants to do it. But it feels relatively normal. Like I was just on that movie set that I was just showing Glenn. I'm on my friend's movie set this morning, and there's a couple of masks from producers and stuff, but basically it feels very normal.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it certainly feels normal out here on Long Island, but depending on where you go, it feels a little bit different. But I am feeling that sense of normalcy around the country. When we were in Las Vegas attending the Best Western Conference the week before last, while masks were required indoors, it didn't really seem like the encumbrance that it could have been 6-8 months ago. It didn't really affect people's ability to have fun and really participate fully in the Las Vegas atmosphere. But Chris, I'm curious to you. I'm sending my family, and I'm going on some of them as well, on a lot of weekend trips right now to go take a look at universities. Dude, I'm having a hard time finding rooms, let alone if I do finding a room that's at a reasonable rate. That sounds to me like it puts you guys in a really great position for tertiary and secondary properties.
It does. I mean, and if there's a draw of any kind to the area, if you're within a certain radius, it's really those. I mean, it's what I see now, Glenn, is really the specific hotels that are in hardcore central business districts that are struggling, right? Where there's not any,
New York City.
There's no reason to go there unless you're going to be going to the JP Morgan building next door, or the Chase, or the, what pharmacy building next door. But if you're going to a DoubleTree or a Hilton Garden Inn that's in Cornell, New York, or wherever, you're going to have a hard time finding rooms. Or you're going to, our Hilton Garden Inn over on the eastern shore of Maryland on the marina. You're having a hard time finding rooms anywhere. That's what's happening. So it's still a story of the haves and have-nots, and people are still traveling. And they're actually talking about universities, Glenn. People are traveling in advance of full reopening next year, which is good. University visits. And I think those are very, very early signs of even getting back to more normalcy, right?
I'm sorry, Chris. I was going to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, that it just seems that we're learning to live with it. Now it's part. I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be gone next year or the year after. I think it literally is going to become the flu shot. And I think that we've just all learned to live with it. And we throw a mask on when we go to the airport. We throw a mask on in certain restaurants when you walk in, and that's it. That's what that I think we're okay with that level. And then we're just going to go on with our lives. So I think it's going to be for a couple of years. I think you're going to see masks, maybe for longer than that, for a very, very, very long time.
So it's funny that you say it's not funny. I think I agree, Anthony. And what I've noticed is I live in Florida, but what I've noticed is it really has now become a personal choice. Like you're choosing, and I'm not picking any side at all, but I'm fully vaccinated and I had it last year. So I'm comfortable traversing most of my life without a mask, except for airports and everything else. But I still see people that are making a choice to choose a mask. And I think it's becoming more and more, like you said, living with it. Like, okay, if Glenn chooses to wear a mask, that's cool. If Chris doesn't, and it's just.
Yeah, but that person may not be vaccinated, so they want to wear a mask, and that's fine. I'm the same way. Airport, done. There's a big sign when I walk into a store that says mask required. I go back to my car and I'll get my mask.
Yeah, me too.
I want to make everybody feel comfortable. I feel exactly the same way. Again, I'm coming from a big mask person. I wore a mask everywhere. I don't want to wear my mask anymore. I think I'm okay. And like I said, but I will wear it wherever is required.
So, Chris, as society gets back to normal and as we're getting back to business and as you're seeing signs of that corporate business come back, how are you thinking about the overall operations of your dozens of properties at Chesapeake Hospitality now? What is new thinking compared to where we were a month or 2 or 3 ago that now you're having to make adjustments to?
Well, I mean, budgeting is super interesting, right? It's budget season, so budgeting for the next year is interesting. From when does business come back? But then, how does it look on the employment side? I know you guys have had a lot of segments talking about the employment sides, but how does that look? How do we service the guest? How do we meet the current needs along with what we're capable of meeting? Are there limitations on how quickly we can come back? That's the only thing that I worry about is false depression of performance due to lack of staffing, right? Where you have to hold down occupancy, and people may not say they are, but you're still having to hold down occupancies in buildings because you're short. You just can't clean the rooms. Either that or you're taking the weekend and you're not taking Sunday, Monday, Tuesday because you got to catch up and drag rooms for a few days. So and then what services are staying and what services are going. And honestly, for us, we're big group houses. So which of the key group tools, I mean, there's all kinds of them, Noland and Salesforce, all these things, which ones are coming back and which ones are consolidating and are we using? Because you don't want to spend money. At the end of 19, we were all spending money on everything, right? Because there was all the different, the social stuff for catering and the knot for weddings. And now the point is what's coming back and where do I take the limited resources I'm going to have as I return to business? And where do I put those? Because you can't put them all at once.
So I believe Nolan has been reporting that it's the smaller meetings that seem to be more robust and increasing from small to a little bit bigger than small. So we may not be seeing those massive mega events taking place, but the 20 to 30 to 50 people seem to be doing well according to the data that I've seen out there. Is that what you're experiencing in your property? So
yeah, that's interesting. So I think it's a tale of two stories. We're not seeing is the 250 person where you got to have a 10,000 square foot ballroom to meet and feed this 250 person meeting. We're seeing 30 to 50, but then we are seeing 1,000. Like, the Showboat in Atlantic City, we're getting big requests. And a lot of my friends that run big hotels are seeing big requests. And we were at one lodging conference out where we, I don't know, they said, 1,600. I don't know if that was the right number or not, but it was busy.
That or more. That's for sure.
So it was busy. The weird part is I'm still only seeing the 20 to 50 and then the 1,000. There's not a whole lot of 300s. And I think that's companies thinking about, can we take people, put them in a safe environment, and put 30 to 50 people and control it? And then how much resources do we have to do 300? So it's just interesting.
I would argue 1,000 people or more are typically not a corporate event. It's more of an industry.
Correct.
Event. And I know
an association.
Right. Yeah. That's not 100% accurate, but I think that's generally the way we see things. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So Chris, with the pressure of trying to make money, save money, and deal with the employee issues that we're all having, there's starting to become a lot of pressure from owners on brands. And I got it from a very good source, from a very high up person in one of the major brands, that now the pressure from ownership is coming to charge for housekeeping. Have you heard those statements?
So I have heard some ideas tossed around about lots of things, how we can minimize the impact on our potential outcome financially going forward. And there's a sense among operators that, and this is, I got to walk the line here. Yeah. I mean, I understand what the brands have to do too, right? The brands they've made commitments and they have a lot of different constituencies. So they're trying to balance not only US, but global and everything. But operators are trying to figure out, okay, if we were a 35 GOP before the pandemic and hotels are still trading at 7.5 caps for good assets, so the trading value hasn't gone down like we thought it was going to, how do we underwrite or underpin financially those results going forward if we've got all this new expense, labor, and higher costs? It's going to be very difficult. Insurance costs are rising at a very rapid rate. So we can't, a 35 is now, let's just pretend it's a 32. let's say we've picked up 3 points of operating costs.
Right.
Where are we going to get those from? Because here's the thing, the revenues are going to come back and the brands are still going to take their share.
Right.
How do we recover when we're the ones bearing the brunt of going from $12.50, which may have been wrong, to $16.50 for housekeeping labor? How does that work?
Yeah, I think that is right there. That's the question, right? It's like you're getting hurt, but the brands really aren't getting hurt. Matter of fact, they're going to probably make more money because half their staff's not coming back. But I want you to go back real quick for our people who are not hoteliers or young to the hotel business. Explain the GOP and explain the 7.5 cap. Just explain those terms so everybody understands it.
Okay, so the GOP is a super common term in hotels. It's the gross operating profit. It's basically the profit after your operating expense and your fixed expenses, but before depreciation and other, like your reserve for FF&E and sometimes management fees, depending on how what accounting you're using. So a good, there's a good number, is mid-30s and up, depending on what kind of asset you're running. Full service all the way to, I just looked at a hotel that's running a 52, but it's a high-rated select service in a high barrier to entry market with a high rate. Right. So, but
and non-union.
And non-union, right? So, and then your cap rate is you just divide your NOI by a number, and it gives you what they call the cap rate. So your NOI is not the GOP; it's the number after all costs.
Net operating income.
Net operating income, sorry, divided by a rate. So if we say 7, and we say, I can't do it off the top of my head, but whatever, 4.8 million, you would get a $60 million hotel if you divide it by a 7 cap. So it's 4.8 divided by 7 is, I think, 6, right? So no, 8. $80 million hotel. And that's how banks value hotels. Now, the interesting thing, if we could go down a long road about this, is I was just talking with a broker because we're looking at a hotel with a client, and the NOI, the net operating income for the last 2 years, is obviously way down. So in the sales world, what brokers do is they switch. They say, well, no, but replacement cost for an asset like this is $400,000 a key. So it's really whatever benefits, and I get it. Whatever benefits the seller to get the highest value for the hotel. Right now the net operating income would not support an $80 million purchase price, right? But you truthfully couldn't build that hotel for less than $80 million. Probably cost you $100 million. So is $80 million still a fair deal? That's the $80 million question.
Yeah, and I've been involved in many of those conversations about replacement costs, and a lot of people don't like using that. Do you think it's a fair equation to use, replacement costs? I personally think it is, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, when you get down to it, Anthony, if you strip away, if you take the market dynamics, right? You say that the rate and the occupancy is 80% in this market, and the rate's $200. And if you're a good hotel operator and you can capture your fair share of that amount of business in that marketplace, and that would create an NOI that makes sense cash flow wise for spending $80 million on the said hotel, then the economics work. However, it's still a real estate play. So if there's a beautiful building that somebody already built that would cost today $600 to build, and you can buy it for $400, then hypothetically you're still ahead of the game because you're getting the dirt with it, you're getting the building done, and you're going to have an operating asset underlying. So if you had a cash buyer, or let's say you took and you put 40% down, so you could still cover your operating costs and make some money and get cash flow while this underlying asset is going to continue to rise in value, especially if you have a premium location, oceanfront or something. So it's never going to change, right? So then all of a sudden now it's going to be $1 million replacement cost. There's so many different parts to hotel investing. That's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah, and one other thing that you have to think about is you think there's going to be a loss of mid to lower class travelers because of inflation and the price of hotel rooms and stuff. That's an interesting argument as well. Anthony, you don't seem to know.
Well, Chris, let me try to take this and tell me if do you agree with or disagree with me? I think if the price of things continue, I think it's going to be across the board. It's not. It's gonna be everyone. For us, it's gonna be everyone. I was just having a conversation with my sister-in-law last night, and she said something is doubled in price in the supermarket.
Right.
I can't remember exactly what it was. So I think as the gas prices and all your food items and things like that and clothes start skyrocketing because whether it be the supply chain, whether it be whatever it is,
Yep.
I think you're going to start seeing slowdown period of the economy. Do
Mhm.
I think that the lower end hotels are going to be less busy because of it? No, because I think you're going to start seeing maybe if somebody's trying to save $50, they'll go to a lower end hotel, and the 5-star hotel people, they're kind of solid. They're not going anywhere unless the economy collapses. Chris, am I right or wrong, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the brands continue to launch options in that lower RevPAR range. So
Yep.
I think I think there's going to be plenty of options. It just what'll happen is it's so fascinating to me after every economic event, not a pandemic, but any event, what happens, so you have a lot of hotels that take crew business, for example, and then when things get really busy, they push the crew to secondary hotels and little lower tier hotels, and then if I was the crew, I'd be frustrated by this, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then we go say, hey, come back to my hotel crew business,
Right.
or lower rated business, and then when it gets busy again, we say, go away.
Right.
And it's that's why the brands are making sure there's great options up and down the verticals, is to make sure.
It's just, the reason I'm laughing, Chris, is because unless you're really in the business like we are, you don't understand. It's like wedding business, love wedding business, hate wedding business. Crew business, love crew business, hate crew business. Corporate business, love FIT business. It's if you're not, and again, not to talk about mental health, but if you are a little bit of schizophrenic
Right.
in this industry, where you have to understand whether it be setting rates or whether it be taking some market segment, if you don't understand, look at your numbers, look at your demand, look at how many rooms you have, look at your NOI, look at all that, and that makes a decision. If you make a decision based on I love leisure, or I love FIT, or I love this or that, you're going to go out of business. And I learned that early on, maybe the first week I've ever in the business because of the people I was around, that you cannot be not so much loyal to one business, but you can't think of just one business, one market segment, because you'll go out of business. And a lot of hotels, and you've seen it, Chris, and I'm sure you've taken over hotels where you have revenue managers and sales managers that don't understand that one business. Like, oh no, we don't look at that business. It's like, right, they don't have money. Their money's not green. What do you mean you don't look at that business? I mean, I remember, and I've said this before in the show, AAA book. It's like, I don't want to be in the AAA book in New York City. We don't need the AAA book. I took out a full page, those small pages, full page in AAA, and literally became 30% of my business, because I did not realize back in the day how much people actually from the five boroughs and the 3 states surrounding New York City drive into New York City, and they're all looking at AAA and 30. So it is so important to look at every market segment and never become, don't become obsessed with one market segment.
So this is one of my favorite things to talk about in the business. But before you do that, I got to address Colleen's comment. Colleen, we're not saying lower class. We're just saying different classes of hotels. Never.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nothing meant from that comment at all. It's the way that the hotels fluctuate up and down. Segmentation is really the key to winning, and it's if there's any key to winning in the hotel business, it's understanding that there is a right room for every rate every day, hypothetically, and no structured strategy or no fixed strategy is going to win. So anybody who says they don't look at associations or tour and travel or government reunions, don't, because I'm going to take all of that business and you're going to be 100 RevPAR and I'm going to be 160 index. So it's just mixing the business together. I love it. You take all these pieces, thousands of rate codes, and you look at them and you analyze them and go, what's the best for today? And what are my competitors not paying attention to? And that's how you win. That's why I've always said, at the risk of being immodest, you give me the 4th best hotel on 4 different corners and I'll crush the other 3. Just because.
Yeah, and training people that, like, early in my career, I remember talking to a reservation manager at the time, not a revenue manager. And I put $1 on the table because she was arguing with her about a market segment. And I literally slapped my hand hard on the table, took that $1 off, said, okay, now you can't have that $1. It's like, you know what? And then I've also done where I've had conversations and said, would you say the same thing if the owner's standing next to me? The owner of the hotel is standing right next to me, and you're telling him you're not going to give him that dollar because you don't think that that's the right market segment for his hotel. And they say, I've had actually one young lady said, yes, I would say that to him. Had a meeting. It was an owner's meeting. I invited her in. She changed the tune. She never said it. You have to work where you understand that this is a business. And why, Chris, why do people look at our business? And we're running sometimes billion-dollar hotels, and you're running billion-dollar portfolio. Why do people not think this is a real business? Unless you're in the business, like when you see a general manager, he's running, even a McDonald's, a manager of McDonald's, they're running a multi-million-dollar business. And people just don't see it as if you're running, I don't know, even a restaurant or a car business or a financial business or whatever business it is. They take it seriously, but they don't realize and understand that the hotel business is an extraordinarily complicated business, and you have to be really smart to make money from a hotel.
You do. And I think it's whenever we have that discussion, I always tell people, I want you to close your eyes, and whether you're in banking or some other form of business, and I want you to realize that you're dealing with two of the most personal things you can deal with somebody: their food and where they sleep.
Yep.
Okay. And you're doing that, and you're competing with people across the street that you don't own or control their business, and you can't say how they did it last night. And then you have to also remember that your product is always expiring. The room I can't sell today goes away, and the food that I don't pay attention to spoils. So, I mean, literally, I've always said, if you start this business in restaurant management or in the back of the house at hotels, you are an excellent business person, because you have got to be so on your game that you will be able to succeed in just about any industry, which fascinates me when people kind of look down on hospitality people for other industries, because our stuff is super complex. And I'm not just saying that because I do it, but
listen, if you were ever looking for a job and somebody said, I need a president of Pepsi-Cola, I call you and say, hi, Chris, because people that run hotel like we do, I think can really run any business. And it's really getting comfortable with being on a treadmill and look like you're not on a treadmill. I'm actually on a movie set right now, right off the set. And there's this kid or guy, William DeMeo, grew up in the neighborhood in Bensonhurst, started the movie Gravesend or the TV show Gravesend, is in the second season. And he's got so much financial pressure, so much pressure on him with all the actors, with everything that he's responsible for. He's directing, he's producing, and he's starring in it. And he's walking around like a general manager of a 5-star hotel that has no problems in the world. I'm like so impressed with his demeanor, and I'm like, I know underneath he looks like, a duck. Like he's just flapping. And general manager the same way. We have a lot of pressure on us all the time.
If you watch, I think I love it. I mean, the biggest hotel I ever ran personally was 600 rooms, but it was $53 million plus in revenue. Ooh. And we would have 2,000 people there visiting on the weekend. It was oceanfront. And I always used to love the fact that I could stand on the pool deck with all the restaurants open, all the pools full, the beaches happening, and smile and laugh with my staff. Because what I knew, but here's the thing, on the outside, you saw me smiling and laughing, but in the back of my head, I'm like literally what my eyes are watching and seeing the restaurant servers taking the food and dropping them at the tables. And I mean, a well-run operation is extraordinarily complex, but it's so fun. And it's one of my favorite times of my life was seeing that all happen. So when you're at a hotel and a busy one and you see the management go by, just imagine what all the things they've got going on as they walk by you. Okay, I see that there's some glasses that need picked up, or they need more drinks, or there's towels that need to be replaced, or that tree needs to be trimmed. I mean, it's just never ending, but that becomes natural to us.
Yeah, and we always have those words that we fear in the back of our mind every month. Cash call. Will there be a cash call this month? No.
Cash calls, of course, when you ask the owner for money.
Can I say something about that, Glenn?
I've never had a cash call.
What's that?
Can I say that? I love this. I teach all GMs this stuff when we're talking about what we were talking about earlier, segmentation and filling in groups on the weekends or Sunday night groups or whatever is I've really had even though maybe I've missed my GOP, gross operating profit percentage for the month by having to adjust ADR to get the building full, I've never had an owner yell at me if I made the GOP dollars. So if I was supposed to make a 35% and $1 million profit, if I made 32% and $1 million profit one month, they might say, your percent was a little low, but thanks for the $1 million. They never get really angry about it, do they, Anthony?
Yeah. And then you walk away going, thank you, LIBOR. This month helped me.
Yeah, thank you for, or I tell my sales team, thanks for filling in with that big group that nobody wanted for,
exactly. There's so many things in the business. And I'm telling you, I miss it. Every time I think about it, I have to think about it. I really, like I tell you, I'm on my friend's movie set and, we're talking about another show, whatever. And like, it doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me. Like when I'm dealing with my clients in the hotels and we're dealing with P&Ls and we're looking at percentages, I get like a little kid in a candy store. I really do. Like it's so there's something so competitive, hyper competitive about it. And like you said, Chris, there's nothing like getting your star report every month and knowing you're crushing the competition. There's not an Academy Award that feels better than that.
So I built you'll like this, Anthony. I built a report when I was a young manager some 20 plus years ago. I had a hotel in a small town and everybody was struggling to understand the star report. So what I did is I built a calculator it's called the We Took Their Money calculator. And I would calculate at the end of every month how much of other hotels' money by share that we took that they didn't get. So for that hotel we took 20,000 and that hotel we took 30,000. And everybody got it then. They're like, oh, right. I see now. And I said, so we're not having bad conversations with our owners, but the guy down the street, probably not so good. So
and that's an interesting conversation to have with young managers is like that 2% in index equates to this number. When I was a young man at the Plaza Hotel, they had this report. And then over the years, I kind of extended it and I called it the Oscar. And when I named it, I was at the Lucerne Reservation Office and they go, this report, it had, my competition stuff and it had even the weather that day. So we can go back and know if it rained that day. That's why, we had a lot of cancellations, whatever it was. And we have the ADR and the pickup and the transient and the group, all the reports you've seen now. Well, I call it the Oscar because I'm not a 5-report guy. I'm a 1-report guy. I want 1 report every day. I don't want to see any other reports. And on there, we had something similar to that. And you see people's eyes open when they're like, wait a second, that 10 rooms extra a day equates to this over a year, over a month, or over a week? Yes. It equates to whether you get a bonus. It equates to whether you can hire another front desk clerk. And when you put it in those terms, I remember walking through the Waldorf Astoria in the back and they had the plates and the china, and you've seen this before, and the glasses, and they had a price tag on every glass and every piece of china. If you break it, it's going to cost me $9 to replace it. People start to have pride in not breaking glassware or pride in destroying the guy's business. Well, not destroying, but taking the business from the guy down the block.
Yeah, I love it. So, someday when it's all over, that'd be what I'd like to teach like super, super deep segmentation management and stuff. It'd be fun.
No, I got a job, Chris. I think what we should do. We both retire. We get Glenn a job as a general manager. Right. And then we have a little plug in his ear, a little thing in his ear, and we just talk to him throughout the day.
Yeah.
And he wins. And he works for a big management company and he wins general manager of the year.
I like that idea. So
I talk in one ear and Anthony in the other. How would that work, Glenn?
I don't know, but I've always wanted to be somebody's puppet leader. So I'm very excited about that potential. The one thing I am concerned about that, Chris, as things start to get more expensive because of inflation, and inflation rose 5.4% in September and 5.3% in August, according to tradingeconomics.com. What happens with properties? How will we be able to continue to create great experiences that are not commoditized experiences? Because that was starting to happen for the last 20 years anyway. How do we stay away from that? How do you keep things being memorable and fresh? So I remember I stayed in one of your hotels last night and not anybody else's hotels? Because when I look back on 6 months from now, I can forget those things really easily unless it really means a lot to me.
We're going to have to invest a lot in, this is going to make me kind of reflective, but we lost a lot through this thing. We lost a lot of people. We lost some people that aren't coming back to the business. And we're going to have to spend time helping people understand, like all these comments I see of what a great business it is, and training to that. And the fact that it matters so much, because really a memorable stay, it can be something in the hotel, but it's really the people and how the service is delivered. I mean, you know, Glenn, you've been to a few of my places. We have some super nice places. Then we have some good hotels, right? And they're good, but they're great because of the people.
That's right.
And that's what I've always kind of hung my hat on, because hotels can age through time and they can change, but the people never do.
All right. So the Hotel Indigo Baltimore, great physical asset, but everyone there was freaking amazing. And anytime I think of Baltimore now, I think of that hotel and the people that were servicing that property because they were so great.
And that's so important, because to Chris's point, if you have an older hotel or a hotel maybe need to be renovated, like unfortunately a lot of hotels now, because people have not put capital in, getting the pride into those employees is so critically important, because we know the hotel's worn. We know it's not the best in the comp set. We know that maybe the lighting's not right. It's a little bit dark in the lobby. But getting those employees to have the pride, like it's a brand new hotel and the best in the comp set, that is the Jedi mind trick. And when I say Jedi mind trick, I just mean you have to really value your employees.
I can tell you this, and again, this is a testament to the team that I had. But that same hotel where I built the We Took Their Money calculator, we were probably the 4th best hotel quality-wise in our comp set. But we became number 1 in TripAdvisor in that market, and we became number 1 we went from 334th in our brand when I got there to top 50 in a hotel that didn't really belong in the top 50. And that has nothing to do with the asset. It has everything to do with one of the most amazing teams I've ever had. 180 room hotel, part of the Hilton family, and that everybody bought in. And you had people writing comments like, "Oh, my room was a little bit worn out, but I love this place." I mean, and that's service.
Great. Chris, I know that you have to get back to CEOing in a minute or two. Any final thoughts, messages that you want people to take away from with this today?
No, just hang on tight. Be smart. I mean, we've made it this far, right? So hold the line. Winter's going to be a little bit tough for sure, but hold the line. Keep taking care of your buildings and get ready for the comeback, because it's going to be the setback. Comeback's always greater than the setback, right? So.
Yep, I love it.
You know, and find the happiness in what you do. Like, I just was talking to a friend of mine, who's an actor, and he was staying not in the greatest hotel, and you know, it's not the biggest budget. And I go, "So how you feel?" He goes, "I'm happy." And he goes, "I was thinking of all the things I don't have today, and I was just like, you know, shut up. I'm happy."
Yeah.
Like what? Like, and what happens is, we get so caught up in, well, I don't have enough staff. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. But what are you happy about? Like, what is making you happy today? Even that one thing. Like today, I'm going to see my daughter play volleyball. So if I start having a bad day, I'm like, oh, I'm going to see my daughter play volleyball tonight. We've got to make sure that we're talking to ourselves and we're finding just the gratefulness in our day and the happiness, because, like you said, you know, listen, we're saying it's coming to an end. You know, there's a pot of gold over the rainbow, but then there's going to be some other cloud. So if you don't live in that happiness and that gratefulness, it's always going to be you're just going to walk around life, you know, dragging your blanket on the floor.
Well, if you've made it this far, I'm talking to everybody listening and anybody who will listen after. If you made it this far through this, you're going to be so skilled coming out of this that all the stuff that's added back, it's going to be easy. I mean, you've learned all kinds of things through this that you never would have imagined, nor would I. So
I watched I think we watched each other, but we watched you through this because you were running a real business. Your muscles growing. You literally saw you change and really saw you really, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you had to harden and you had to really like fight. And you saw that in you at points in this pandemic. and then you kind of came back to yourself, and then maybe you went away again, and you kind of like, I got to grind more, and then you came back to yourself, and it was really, this is the most challenging part of your career, and you can really see the growth, even for someone like you who's been doing this forever. That like you said, if you went through this, you can go through anything.
Yep. All right, guys, I got a bolt. It's great seeing both of you.
Peace. See you soon. Take care.
Peace on earth.
One of the other, one in the league, Chris Green. Yes.
So
sir.
were you insulted that I said I was going to talk in here and make you a good general manager? You seem to be insulted by that.
No, I'm not insulted by that because I knew I'd be a shit general manager because I have no training in it, and it's not a job you could just step into and be good at. You need to work your way up through a property and learn the lessons, which you have done. And
I honestly think if you're a very smart person that cares about people, I can throw you into a general manager role tomorrow and you'll be successful because you have a director of sales, you have a chef, you have a food and beverage director, you have a front office manager, you have a director of housekeeping. You know what you do? You ask them, what the hell do I do today? What am I supposed to do?
Right. That plus combined with great people skills and good instincts could take you a long way. Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I agree with you.
All right, so I just want to point out today's piece of art behind me is from the group Hotel of Tomorrow, which is a great organization helping to create a pathway forward for hospitality to bring us into the future. And I love this picture because it's all about bringing biophilic design into properties, which is somewhere that we're going. It's going to be an upcoming hotel design podcast, so be sure to check that out. All right, Anthony, I think we should wrap this up today. What do you think? Or do you want to show us what you're doing over there?
I think so. And let's while you're finishing up the show, I'll walk over back to set and see what's going on. So
all right. So while you do that, I'm going to deliver this very important message. Hey, listen to us. Don't just watch us. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, Google. Wherever you are, that's where we are. Our shows on all those places and a whole lot more. I even saw our shows scribbled in graffiti on a bathroom wall lately like that. So, hey, that's pretty good. He's at Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Traveling Glenn. How you?
As Ron Durant said, for a bad time, call Glenn Houseman.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you, the calls have been coming in like crazy. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Got another great show. I'm excited. On Wednesday, we've got a friend of the show, Kerry Ransom from HB Hotels, and Dale Ross of Hotel Effectiveness, talking about that labor issue. Then we've got one of the partners in SBE Entertainment on Thursday. You know they're fancy hotels. You're going to love that interview. A whole lot more good stuff coming this week. Anthony, I'll see you tomorrow, I guess, right?
See you tomorrow, my friend.
All right, everybody. Remember, you got one life, so blaze on and Leo. What's more fun, Leo or the pizza?
I think Leo.
All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Remember, guys, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you tomorrow.